High school is supposed to be the safest place in your life. A place of routine, of bells and lockers, of teachers who count heads before class ends. But for some students, it was the last place they were ever seen. They walked through those doors like they always had, backpacks slung over one shoulder, shoes squeaking faintly against waxed floors, thinking about homework, thinking about lunch, thinking about getting home. No one noticed anything was wrong, because nothing looked wrong. Rain taps against the windows outside, soft at first, almost gentle. Inside the building, the lights hum. Old fluorescent tubes flicker, just enough to remind you they could fail at any moment. There's schools like this everywhere. Brick walls soaked with years of weather. Lockers dented and scratched with names no one remembers anymore. Hallways that echo long after everyone has gone home. At night, schools feel different. The silence doesn't sit still. It stretches. Every sound travels farther than it should. A locker door hangs open at the end of the hall, just a few inches, as if someone meant to come back for it, as if they never did. Somewhere deep inside the building, a bell chimes once, not enough to signal a class, just enough to make you look up. There are stories administrators don't like to tell, ones that don't make it into yearbooks. Stories whispered between staff members long after students leave for the day. Students who were marked present in the morning and missing by the afternoon. No signs of a struggle. No emergency announcement. No answers that made sense. Their desks stayed empty. Their names lingered on attendance sheets for weeks, sometimes months. Friends said they seemed distracted lately, tired, quiet. Parents said everything was normal when they left the house that morning. A quick goodbye, a reminder to be home by dinner. Rain grows heavier now. It runs down the windows like countless thin fingers, distorting the dark outside. Cameras blink in the corners of the ceiling. Red lights steady, watching halls with no one in them, recording hours that will never be reviewed closely enough. Because whatever happened didn't happen all at once. It didn't scream. It didn't announce itself. It waited. And when the doors finally locked for the night, whatever remained inside the school was no longer alone. Before we begin, ask yourself this. If something followed you home from school, would you even notice? Story 1. The student who never left the building. It was the late 2000s, a suburban public high school like thousands of others. 2 stories tall, red brick, a flagpole out front that rattled when the wind hit it just right. During the day, the building felt ordinary, crowded, loud, alive. But after hours, it changed. By the time the last bus pulled away, the halls emptied fast. Lockers clicked shut one by one. Teachers turned off lights and carried stacks of papers to their cars. The air itself felt thinner, like the building had finally exhaled. Security lights stayed on. Not all of them, just enough to make the shadows stretch. Somewhere in the distance, cleaning carts rolled slowly across tile floors. Buckets sloshed. Mops dragged. The sound echoed far longer than it should have. There was a student who stayed late that night. Quiet. The kind of student teachers barely remembered calling on. Always present. Never noticed. Detention ran late. Or maybe it was a club meeting. No one remembers exactly why he stayed behind. Only that he did. There were parts of the school students avoided once the bell rang. A hallway near the science wing that always felt colder than the rest. A set of doors that never seemed to stay locked, no matter how many times staff checked them. A stairwell teachers didn't like using, choosing longer routes instead. No one explained why. They just didn't go there. And everyone knew better than to ask. The building settled into itself as the sky darkened outside. Rain tapped steadily against the windows, the kind of rain that blurred parking lot lights into long streaks of white. The student packed his bag slowly, too slowly. He wasn't in a hurry. That was the last normal decision he would make. Did your school have places no one liked to go, but no one talked about? By the time he stepped into the hallway, the school felt hollow. His footsteps sounded wrong, too loud, as if the building was listening. The lights above flickered once, then steadied. At the far end of the corridor, a classroom light was on. That shouldn't have been possible. That wing was always shut down first. Teachers signed out keys. Custodians avoided it unless they had to. The door to the room was closed, but light leaked from beneath it, thin and pale. He stopped walking. Rain outside grew heavier, pressing against the windows. Somewhere nearby, a locker door creaked softly, metal shifting on tired hinges. He told himself a teacher must have forgotten to turn the lights off. It happened. Still, he didn't like the way the air felt colder the closer he got. Then he heard it. Footsteps. Above him. Just once. A single step, heavy enough to echo through the ceiling. He froze. There shouldn't have been anyone upstairs. That floor was locked after 5. The cleaning crew never went up there alone. He listened. Nothing. No voices. No movement. Only the steady hum of lights and the rain tapping faster now. Harder, like it was trying to get in. He laughed under his breath. A small sound, meant to make the moment feel smaller. Then he noticed something else. The classroom door with the light on was slightly open, just enough to see inside. The desks were empty, the whiteboard clean. No bag, no jacket, but the light was on, and the temperature dropped another degree. Behind him, somewhere down the hall, a locker creaked again, longer this time, slow, as if pushed, and then released. He didn't turn around, because instinct told him something simple and terrible. If he turned around, he wouldn't be alone anymore. The school's security system was old, installed years earlier, upgraded just enough to make administrators feel comfortable. That night, it recorded everything. At first, the footage looked normal. Empty halls, lights flickering as they always did, rain blurring the exterior cameras into shifting gray shapes. Then the timestamps began to stutter. Seconds repeated. Minutes skipped forward, then snapped back. On one camera, the hallway appeared empty. On another, the same hallway showed movement, just a shadow passing where no one should have been. The student pulled out his phone. One message, sent to a friend who lived nearby. Someone's here. No punctuation. No follow-up. The cameras caught him walking toward the stairwell teachers avoided. The one tucked behind the science wing. The one with the emergency light that never fully turned off. He hesitated at the entrance. Just for a moment. Then he went inside. The camera angle didn't cover the stairwell itself. Only the doorway. It showed him entering. It never showed him leaving. The timestamp froze for 3 full seconds. The image warped, bending inward at the edges. Then it corrected itself. The stairwell door stood closed, perfectly still. And this is where the footage stops. What do you think happened inside that stairwell? Weeks passed. At first, people assumed he'd run away, that he'd skipped town, that someone would hear from him eventually. They didn't. Then the janitor came forward. He worked nights, late shifts, alone. He said that sometimes, when he cleaned near the science wing, he heard breathing. Not footsteps, not voices. Breathing. Slow. Close. Right behind him. When he turned around, the hallway was empty. Lockers began opening on their own after dark, one at a time, never all at once. Security logs showed doors unlocking briefly, then relocking. No badge scans. No codes entered. A new security guard was hired that winter. First night on the job, he did a full walkthrough. He made it to the stairwell. The emergency light blinked overhead, casting uneven shadows down the steps. The air was cold enough to see his breath. He radioed him once, said the stairwell felt wrong. He quit before sunrise. Didn't come back for his uniform. The case was never solved. No body, no evidence, no explanation that held together. The school remodeled the stairwell the following year. New paint, new railings, brighter lights. They said it was for safety. Students still report footsteps, always above them, always matching their pace. Sometimes, late in the evening, a light turns on in a classroom that shouldn't be in use. Custodians don't check it anymore, because some students leave school after the final bell, and some never really do. But this wasn't the only student who disappeared after the final bell. Story 2. The locker that answered back. Some lockers hold textbooks. Some hold gym clothes that never quite dry. Some hold notes passed between classes, folded until the paper wears thin. And some lockers hold things that listen. This was an inner-city high school. Old concrete walls, metal detectors at the entrance, classrooms stacked on top of each other like layers that had been added over decades. The kind of school where nothing surprised anyone anymore, where dents and lockers weren't questioned, where broken things stayed broken. A group of friends shared one locker at the end of a crowded hallway. They had for years. Locker 317. The door was bent inward, not from the outside, from the inside. No one knew when it happened. The dent was already there when they started using it. A deep curve in the metal, like something had pushed hard and kept pushing. At first, it was just convenient. Extra space, a place to stash bags and jackets. Then the notes started appearing. Small pieces of paper, folded neatly, always placed on top of their books. They weren't written in marker or pen stolen from class. They were written carefully, slow strokes, no rushed lines. The first note just said a name, one of theirs. Another mentioned something no one else should have known. A conversation whispered on a bus ride home. An argument that never left the bedroom. They laughed it off. Someone was messing with them, but no one else knew the combination, and the locker was never open when they arrived. Rain tapped steadily against the windows outside. The hallway hummed with voices, footsteps, lockers slamming shut. Locker 317 stayed quiet, waiting. It happened during fourth period. One of them stayed behind after class, pretending to look for a missing notebook. The hallway was empty. He stood in front of the locker and knocked once. A joke. There was a pause. Then a soft knock answered back. Same rhythm, same force. He stepped away slowly. The next note appeared during class time, while all of them were sitting at their desks. No one went to the locker. No one left the room. The note was already there when the bell rang. It mentioned a quiz before the teacher announced it, named a student who would be sent to the office that afternoon. Both happened. Then the locker started getting specific. A fire drill. 10 minutes before the alarm sounded. A teacher collapsing in the hallway. Named before anyone screamed for help. Each note was precise. Short. Certain. The rain outside never stopped. It softened the world. Made everything feel distant. But the knocking inside the locker grew clearer. Slow. Patient. They argued about it in whispers. Someone suggested reporting it. Someone else said to ignore it. Another said to stop opening the locker altogether. The next note waited for them anyway. One of you won't graduate. No names. No explanation. Just that. Would you report it? Or stop opening the locker? Because once you know something is watching, closing your eyes doesn't make it go away. During a class change, one of them didn't make it to the next room. Attendance was taken. A name went unanswered. Cameras showed crowded hallways. Too many bodies. Too much movement. Locker 317 was closed. Maintenance was called. The locker was welded shut that afternoon. They said it was damaged beyond repair. That night, the knocking started again. From inside. Metal on metal. Soft. Relentless. The locker was removed weeks later. Taken to the basement during renovations. Work stopped shortly after. Staff reported sounds during rainstorms. Knocking. Paper shifting. Metal answering metal. The basement stays locked now. No one uses that hallway anymore. And Locker 317 was never officially listed as empty. Story 3. The night class that shouldn't exist. By the time a school offers night classes, it's already tired. The halls are darker. The walls hold heat from the day, but give none of it back. Every sound feels like it lingers too long. This was a closed high school, officially shut down years earlier. Reopened only partially for adult night programs, GED courses, makeup credits, Quiet classes for people trying to move forward. Most of the buildings stayed locked. Lights were limited to a single wing. Security walked slow, deliberate routes. Doors that once funneled thousands of students now opened for fewer than 20. That night, a substitute teacher was assigned last minute. No briefing, no warnings, just a room number written on a slip of paper. Room 214. She had never taught in this building before. She followed the signs, then followed the silence. The hallway grew narrower the farther she walked. The lights above her flickered, but never fully dimmed. The air felt stale, undisturbed. She checked a faded evacuation map on the wall. Room 214 wasn't listed. She found it anyway. The door was already open. Later, when administrators reviewed old blueprints, they found a room there, clear as day, but it didn't exist on any current map. The students were already seated, every desk filled, hands folded, eyes forward. No one spoke. Attendance sheets had been left on the desk, typed, neat. She read the names. They were all real people who had once attended this school. Students reported missing, transferred on paper, never officially located. Some from the 1980s, some from the early 90s. One name dated back more than 40 years. She looked up. No one had aged. The clock above the chalkboard read 8:17. The second hand didn't move. She cleared her throat. The sound didn't travel far. The bell rang, a distant sound, muted, as if coming from underwater. She stepped into the hallway. Nothing changed. Same lights, same silence. No doors opening, no footsteps. When she turned back, the windows showed something wrong. Outside the classroom, it was daytime, bright, clear. Inside the room, it was still night. Rain pressed softly against the glass, but the sound felt wrong, heavy, dull, as if buried beneath layers of concrete. Behind her, the students began to whisper. Not names, not words meant for her. Only one sentence, over and over. Don't open the door. She didn't listen. She backed out of the room. The door slammed shut behind her, hard enough to shake the walls. She ran, didn't stop until she reached the security desk. The guard walked her back minutes later. Room 214 wasn't there. Just a blank wall. Fresh paint. No seams. No doorway. The blueprints were altered the next day. Maintenance logs were empty where records should have been. Night security refuses that wing now. No explanation is written. They just don't go there. High school ends. The bells stop ringing. The hall's empty.